Hi, welcome and thank you for joining us at today's webinar. My name is Paul Kidd and I'm the Commercial Director at Harlequin Manufacturing. Harlequin are a UK manufacturer of construction-related tanks and systems focusing on wastewater, fuel and hot water systems. Our products are available throughout the UK, Ireland and mainland Europe through all main builders merchants. Our webinar today will focus on domestic pump stations. It will be presented by our technical expert, Dan Berry. Dan is our Area Sales Manager for Wastewater Products in East Anglia. Dan has provided advice on installations of wastewater systems to hundreds of sites over the last 16 years, including new and retrofit installations for wastewater systems and pump stations. We have given you all an opportunity to ask a question while registering for the session. If you have asked a question, we will try to answer it at the end of the presentation. If not, do get in touch with us after the session. Without further ado, let me introduce Dan. Hi, Dan.
Hello, Paul. Thanks for the intro. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So today, the topics covered will be: what is a pump station? Why are they used? How do they work? What are the different types? How are they sized, including sizing criteria and 24-hour storage? How are they installed? The maintenance requirements, including the do's and don'ts. Our full product range, features and benefits, manufacturing processes, including GRP versus polyethylene, on-site advice, and any questions and answers that you might have at the end. What is a pump station? So a pump station is effectively a collection tank designed to transfer sewage, effluent, or surface water to a local drain, private manhole, or main sewer where a gravity fall is not possible. So why are they used? A pump station is used where there is not a sufficient drainage gradient for the liquid to be discharged to the proposed outlet point via a gravity fall, meaning a pump station is used to pump up to a high level. So effectively, water can't travel uphill, so we would need to use a pump. How do they work? So the pump sits inside the bottom of the chamber and is controlled by a float switch. When liquid waste enters the chamber, it reaches a certain level and engages that float switch. The pump is then activated. The liquid is then pumped up through an MDPE pipe up to the outlet point. Once the liquid waste has dropped below that level, below the float switch threshold level, the pump will then stop. A non-return valve is built into the pump station to ensure that the liquid waste cannot return to the chamber once pumped up to this high level. What are the different types? So a single effluent pump station comprises of a single effluent pump designed for liquid effluent only. These are often used after a domestic sewage treatment plant to pump the treated effluent to a watercourse or field drainage. Twin effluent pump stations comprise of two pumps and a control panel. Twin pumps can cope with much bigger amounts of liquid. These are often used for surface water on sites where ground conditions aren't suitable for soakaways, or sometimes for larger commercial treatment plant applications where the treated effluent is pumped up to a watercourse or field drainage. Single sewage pump stations comprise of a single vortex pump. These are designed for solid and liquid waste. They're most commonly used on a single dwelling or an extension to pump sewage to a private manhole cover. Twin sewage pump stations comprise of two vortex pumps, and they would include a control panel with high-level alarm as standard. Twin pumps are more commonly used on larger domestic dwellings or multiple dwellings that are discharged into a main sewer. Single grinder pump stations comprise of a single grinding pump. These are designed for heavier solids and liquid waste. These are often used to reduce the amount of litres per second entering the main sewer, as certain water authorities can be very strict about the amount of litres per second of liquid entering the main sewer system. Twin grinder pumps comprise of two pumps and a control panel. They can cope with much bigger amounts of solid matter and liquid waste, often used in a commercial setting, like a campsite where guests tend to flush products and other rogue items that aren't designed to be flushed into the main sewer. Grinder pumps are much less likely to block and can handle these items much better than standard vortex pumps. So moving on to the sizing criteria, how do we select the correct pumps for the site? The first thing we would need to know is what is the distance the pump needs to travel in meters. The next thing we would need to know is what is the uphill lift in meters. Once the distance and lift have been confirmed, the correct pumps are selected using our pump curve and performance chart. Pump curve performance charts are available for our full range of pump stations. From the pump curve performance chart, you can also work out the litres per minute or per second, and site-specific curves are available on request. So what are the regulations for pump stations? So Part H of the building regulations, Part H1 2.39 states that where foul water drainage from a building is to be pumped, the effluent receiving chamber should be sized to contain 24-hour inflow to allow for disruption in service. The minimum daily discharge of foul drainage should be taken as 150 litres per head per day for domestic use. So in essence, we would allow for 150 litres per person in a domestic setting. For different applications like office or factory workers, the 24-hour storage capacity would be calculated using the British Water Flows and Loads document, version 4, as in the picture here. So the question we would need to know is, if a building inspector is involved, does it need to have 24-hour storage to comply with building regulations? What pump chamber capacity is required if so? Moving on to how pump stations are installed. So the pump stations require a 250 ml base of hardcore or binding sand, which then sits on top of a 150 ml solid concrete base. Pump station is lifted into the hole via the lifting eyes, and the tank should then be filled with water to ensure that it sets in the concrete correctly. They're then backfilled with 300 ml thickness of concrete around the entire outer of the tank to 50 ml below the manhole cover level. We supply a push fit connection for the 50 or 63 ml MDP outlet pipe, so the pipe will push straight on. So what are the service and maintenance requirements? You must ensure that your pump station is serviced by a qualified service engineer every 12 months. Regular maintenance on pump stations is really important to ensure you avoid any issues. So what are the do's and don'ts that you need to know about if you've got a pump station? Well, the do's. Do's are that a sewage pump is a solid handling pump that's designed to cope with normal human waste and biodegradable toilet papers only. These are the things that you can flush with no problems at all. Moving on to the don'ts. So you do not flush anything that is non-biodegradable, as this will block the pump impellers. This includes toilet wipes, baby wipes, any sort of sanitary waste. These must be disposed of elsewhere, as these will cause pump failure. So looking at the range of sizes available, Harlequin's range of sizes available include a 450 litre pump station. This would do a small single bed annex or a small extension. An 800 litre pump station, which would do up to 5 people or a 3-bedroom house. An 1100 litre pump station, which would do up to 7 people or a 5-bedroom house. A 1550 litre pump station, which would do up to 10 people or 2 3-bedroom houses. And then we move on to the bigger chamber, which is the 3200 litre chamber, which can do up to 21 people. So that could be multiple dwellings. Bedrooms can sort of range depending on the size of the site. What are the features and benefits of our pump stations? So they're suitable for domestic use. 24-hour storage is included in the chamber size as chamber capacity as standard. They're a durable and stable, super tough MDP design. They're very compact. They're easy to install. They're very low maintenance. We use the market-leading DAB pumps. They come with simple pipe work, which includes non-return valves as standard. They also have a flat, extra tough, reinforced flat base for stability. What are the different types of manufacturing processes? GRP tanks by others are manufactured by hand or a semi-automated process. Anything made by hand is subject to human error and discrepancies. GRP tanks are effectively a skin and do not have any structural stability until they are encased in concrete. The concrete is what actually gives the chamber its strength. So why use a polyethylene pump station? Harlequin's polyethylene tanks are made using our state-of-the-art fully automated manufacturing process. This results in a consistent product thickness throughout the chamber, which is free of defects. This gives a much stronger and durable finish, with the tanks designed to last a minimum of 20+ years. So we can also offer free site visits So we've got a team of 5 experts that are more than happy and readily available to come and offer on-site advice if needed. We also work with a network of official installer partners who are also readily available to pop to site, and they can give a complete installation price if required. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Dan. That was certainly a very comprehensive look at pump stations. We do have a number of questions here if you have some time.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, first question comes from David in Tiverton. You mentioned about certain water authorities restricting the flow rates and litres per second entering the main sewer. Can you expand on this, and how do you go about reducing the litres per second?
Okay, so yeah, certain water authorities, because the main sewer systems weren't designed many years ago to cope with the levels that are going into them nowadays, what a lot of the water authorities now are doing is restricting the actual level of flow either by litres per second or litres per minute, more commonly by litres per second. So to give an example, if we had a twin sewage pump that was travelling 60 metres with a 0.5 metre lift, a standard twin sewage pump would discharge around 8 litres per second. If the water authority said that it needed to be sort of below 3 or 4, which is what most of them say, we could look at changing that to a twin grinder pump. Changing it to a grinder pump reduces the flow down to 3.6 litres per second. So you can actually get the flow down by using a grinder pump instead of sewage pumps to comply with that.
Okay, thank you for that. Next question from John in Bicester. Why would I go with a twin pump station over a single pump station? Are twin pump stations required in all cases to comply with building regulations?
Simple answer, no. The only building regulation that you have to comply to is 24-hour storage capacity. So our recommendation on multiple dwellings or larger dwellings would always be twin pumps because it gives you a safety factor. But if it's a single dwelling, or even if you had multiple dwellings and you wanted to use a single pump, you still can, as long as you've got 24-hour storage capacity built in within that chamber capacity to comply.
Okay. Final question from Phil in Aylesbury. Do you offer options on your inlet invert levels for your range of pump stations?
Yes, we do. So they're manufactured with standard invert levels, but on our 1100, 1550 and 3200 litre pump stations, because we understand that there's a bit of flexibility on site and it's not always easy to get correct invert levels. With those particular size pump stations, they're actually designed so that the invert level can be adapted on site if required.
Okay, thank you for that. That's all the questions we have time for today. I know that there's a number of other questions. Can you respond to them in the next couple of days, please, Dan?
No worries. If there's any particular questions you need answered, feel free to give me an email, dan@harlequin-mfg.com. We'll also be sending out a copy of this presentation to all the participants, which has got full details of all the relevant ASMs by area. So if you need to contact anyone in particular, feel free to give them a call or send us an email. We'll be happy to help.
All it really leaves me to say is thank you very much for your time and expertise in pump stations, Dan. My thanks also for all those who took the time to watch this webinar. By all means, get in touch if you need any further information. We are only too happy to oblige. Thank you and have a good day.
Thanks for watching.